Good morning. We are here this morning in Nacton, which is a small village in Suffolk. Nacton has some rich history, which I'm going to share with you, and one surprising inhabitant. This morning I am starting the walk here on Nacton shores. It's a lovely area to come and picnic if you want to come with the dog. It's a lovely run for the dogs. Right now the tide is out and I am going to wander around and explore. So I will switch the camera for your viewing pleasure and we'll see where it ends up. This is Nacton Shores. The tide is out on the river, so we have lots of moss and mud, but definitely a beautiful walk. Just enough wind for people to be sailing today, as you can probably see in the distance. It's a beautiful area. You can come here with the kids and come here with the dogs. Just come here on your own, blow the cobwebs away. Certainly a little hidden gem. I'm going to go through the village of Nacton and share some of its history and explore some places like the Pauper's Graveyard, Amblefield, where the workhouse used to be situated, where the pub once stood, and what's happened with some of the regeneration in the area. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. Let's continue on. Well, today we are going to be visiting Nacton. This is a little village in Suffolk. Nacton is known as the mother of the parishes of Levington and Bucklesham, and it's located between Ipswich and Felixstowe. And it's also home to around 737 residents. It has a rather welcoming site, don't you think, to be able to come into this village under this lovely foliage covered railway bridge. And although it's a railway bridge, I do feel it's so welcoming and it's got such a picturesque view. It's a shame that on the other side of the railway bridge is such a different kind of story. Anyway, Nacton abuts the River Orwell opposite the village of Pimmill. It has riverside features of Butterman's Bay, Potter's Point, Downham Reach, Mulberry Middle and Pond Ouse. This place was sufficient enough to have a village workhouse, which is what I was referring to, which has since been demolished. It was, however, used by Amblefield School as its main building until it closed in 2011. They created a children's home on the site, which has now been converted into residential homes. I'm going to turn around so you can see where we've come from. As I say, it is a very lovely entrance. into what is a very pretty village. Going to continue on. The site of Osborne Priory, which was a small monastic house, was located near Nacton, close to the River Orwell. The priory was founded in the 13th century, and it was already ruinous by 1514. So at least 150 years it hung around. This village has a most notable inhabitant, and that was Margaret Catchpole, who became legendary in the 19th century after the publication of The History of Margaret Catchpole, a Suffolk girl, which was written by Richard Cobbold in 1845. And of course he was famous as part of the Cobbold brewery family. This was a story, a love story really, of a girl who fell in love with a villain, Will Lord, and as a result suffered the consequences of her actions. She stole her employer's horse and fled to London to be with Will Lord. The power of love, eh? He was convicted She was convicted of theft and sentenced to death. She managed to escape, but once recaptured, she was transported to Australia for life. Now we're going to head down here to Amberfield, and there is a site that is coming up, which was the old Paupers Cemetery. Now this was the cemetery of all of those people who worked and died in the workhouse. So they were all buried here in unmarked graves. And Amberfield, as I said, was the location of the Woodbridge workhouse and was known as 7 Hills. The hills are believed to be the barrows and the site of the great battle against the Danes in 1010. Now, apparently, around here, there are barrows, and those barrows reach back as far as what is 7 Hills Crematorium and Cemetery, which is a way back across the other side of Felixstowe Road, which is just before you come into the entrance of this village. Now here is Amberfield Village. Now this has completely turned around, and this is all part of Orwell Park estate. As you can see, very pretty. I'm going to be looking this morning for the memorial stone for the workhouse. I'm not quite sure if they located it near where the workhouse was located, or they located it across the road by the Paupers Cemetery. So that quite clearly says private land. Now, this is Amberfield Drive. If you're in your car, it's definitely worth a little wander through. Now I'm going to see if I can, while it's early morning. You can see how lovely it's been built up. The houses are lovely around here. But just down here is the site of where the workhouse is situated. We'll see if we can get down there. So this building here is the site of the children's home, which was used by the workhouse, and then it was used by Amberfield School. This has now been changed into residential properties, and they've done a very good job. I'll include a picture of the original building on the video. As we walk out of Amberfield, I'll just give you a little more on the Seven Hills burial mounds. Now, there were human remains found here dating back to the medieval periods, and there have been several large burrow mounds. The Pauper Cemetery, which we're hoping to visit if they haven't blocked it off, in Nacton, is in the forest decoy wood, and it was used by the Nacton workhouse between 1792 and 1899. There have been reports in the paper for family members who may have known somebody who was buried here to come forward. So we'll just wander down a little further to see if we come across the entrance to the Pauper Cemetery. Definitely a lovely little village. Definitely worth a drive through. And although it is still a quaint little village, it recently lost its last remaining shop. That shop opened in 1969 as Orwell Stores. The post office portion closed in 2009, and I think COVID probably finished it off, as the store seemed to be really struggling. Well, we haven't found the entrance to this cemetery along here, so I'm going to backtrack just to see if I can find it. So I seem to have come across the entrance to the Paupers Cemetery, which It's no wonder I couldn't find it because it was so covered in overgrowth. So we'll just have a little wander. Oh, everything is definitely unmarked, although I have found the memorial stone. So it was definitely in here. And it says this enclosure was used as a burial ground for the Nacton workhouse from 1792 to 1899. As you would expect, there isn't really much to see. It is a burial ground. Nothing is marked. You wouldn't know there was anybody here, which is sad, particularly if some of these people were your relatives. But definitely a better end to such a tumultuous life. Wander on, although I'm doubting you'll actually see anything. It is now just, as they say, decoy wood. There is a driveway. This could be somebody's private driveway. You can't really see where it leads, although this leads back out onto the road. We'll head down and have a look at Orwell Park Estate and Broke Hall, and a quick visit to Nacton Shores. This is the home of Orwell stores that were. It was a quaint little village shop, unfortunately no longer trading, which is a shame. This is not to take anything away from the old shop, which we'll see, which is a little bit further down in the village by the school. But we'll pop along and have a look at that. But as you can see, very welcoming store. I do hope they open it again. All of this area all formed part of the Orwell Park Estate, and around here, although I can't seem to find any remnants of it, was the home of Crane's Foundry, and that was from the 1920s to 2008. Going to walk along here to show you the old shop. This was the old original shop. This shop opened in 1868. Oh, fabulous little building. The shop was opened by Eliza until she retired in 1983. I'll just pan around so you can see where it's located. And the old shop closed after 115 years of trading. This here is Nacton Primary, such a pretty little school. Church of England Primary School. Have to come out early in the morning so that we don't film when there's children around. Very pretty little school, very busy little school too. And again, the old shop right there. This would have been part of the village green. As you can see, they have a memorial cenotaph in the middle. And this is kind of the fork in the road. You can go to Ipswich, you can divert to Bucklesham, and you can also go down further into Levington. We are going to head down here a little farther, and we're going to head down Church Road and take a look at Orwell Park School, and we won't actually be able to see Broke Hall because it is a huge estate, so it does sit back quite a way. So this is the diversion park. If you were to go straight ahead, you would end up in Levington, and I should imagine, as there's no village pub, that most of the residents from here, if they wanted to go to a pub, would head down to the Ship Inn. The Ship Inn is a Grade 2 listed building that dates back to the 14th century, and it had its first licence granted in 1712. We are going to head down this road here. The Ship Inn also links to Margaret Catchpole, where they said they had a smuggler's cupboard. Because the Ship Inn is very close to the shore, so they could have pulled up in their boats and dragged their haul up to the Ship Inn. So we'll continue on down here. While we're admiring the cenotaph, just to let you know that Nacton no longer having a village pub, and that was due to George Tomline. Now there is a Tomline Road in Nacton, so he is credited with the place. Well, Tomline inherited Orwell Park, and presumably the Nacton anchor in 1836. He never ever married, and on his death in 1889, his estate was inherited by a Captain Ernest George Prettyman, and Prettyman was the MP for Woodbridge, and he was the MP for Woodbridge and Chelmsford from 1908 to 1923. During the build-up to his political career, he was reported as making a speech at Wickham Market on farming, and during this speech he was asked about the closure of the Nacton anchor, and he replied that the parish of Nacton and Levington, there were public houses which were owned, and one of them was the anchor. And it occurred to him that there was no gentleman's club around, so he decided to change it into a gentleman's club. As we continue down this road, you can see the very prestigious Orwell Park School ahead of us. This was originally the house. Now this was Orwell Park Mansion, and that was built in the 18th century. It was developed by Edmund Vernon, who lived here from 1725 to 1757, and it was further developed by George Tomline in the late 19th century. As you can see, very prestigious private school, home of future lawyers and doctors, I should imagine, people with plenty of money. And just further down the road, as you turn left when you hit Orwell Park School, you come up to the Broke Hall estate. Now, we all call it Broke, but it was actually the country house in the parish, and it was called Brook Hall, although written as Broke as we know it. And it was the seat of the Broke family, and that included Admiral Philip Broke. Well, you can see the observatory in the school. Quite lengthy school grounds, that's for sure. I'll turn back and round so you can see the expanse of the school. Quite a few buildings. And as we get to the end of the road here, this is the Broke Hall estate, surrounded by a large brick wall. So you can see these are very close together. If this was the Orwell Park Mansion, and the Broke Hall estate was very close by. The Broke Hall estate sits right on the shore that goes down to Nacton shores. We can't actually see the house from here, but if you do the Levington walk, you can actually see the rear of the house. So you can see. And this leads down to Nacton shores, and the gates don't open for a while, but I have already filmed so that I can show you that. We're going to walk back and visit the church, which is just the other side of Orwell Park School. We'll continue on down. retracing our steps back past Orwell Park School. Again, mindful to be here early in the morning, which these beautiful summer days afford us. And there are no children around. Rather sad state of affairs that we don't take pictures of and film when there's children in the vicinity because of what goes on in the world. However, that's the way it is. You could probably see, as we come round the corner by the school, St Martin's Church just up ahead. What an absolutely gorgeous morning to be out. St Martin's Church here is a Grade 2 listed building. This has been built and rebuilt since the 12th and 13th centuries and has been used for worship for over 800 years. It is also home to a medieval font, so it's certainly worth a visit. I'm going to step up and just let you have a look at this lovely church in all its glory. That is one thing about the pretty villages. They all seem to have their own little church, which is lovely. If the church is open, I'll see if I can grab a few photographs, although we are incredibly early, so I doubt that the doors will be open just yet. Gone are the days where churches were left open overnight as a place of respite. Interesting fact. Commonwealth War Graves. So there we are. St Martin's Church. How lovely is this? Really peaceful. Very quaint. Let's pan back so you can see it all. So nice to be out here so early in the morning and take it all in. Lovely building. This has been a lovely walk this morning. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this walk and found it really interesting. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos of this nature around Suffolk and Essex, please subscribe and you'll be notified as soon as they're posted. I look forward to you joining me again on another walk sometime soon.